Committee on Economic and Workforce Development is being called to order. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Brown,
Here.
Gregory 21, Gregory 15, Lewis, Schnelting,
Here.
Trent,
Here.
Washington.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We're going to begin today's hearing with Senate Bill 1575. Senator Crawford, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Sandy Crawford, District 28. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 1575 today. This bill makes technical corrections to the capital gains income tax exemption bill that we passed last year. It does two things. First of all, the law previously passed inadvertently did not cross-reference 143.341 RSMO to include trusts. This was an oversight, and so this bill corrects that. And the other thing it does, it makes a correction to expand the definition of capital gains for the purpose of a tax exemption to include depreciable business assets. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I do have an expert in this field to testify, and I bet he can answer any question you might have for him.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, first up that would like to testify in favor, please come forward. Begin when ready.
Thank you, Senators, for hearing me today. My name is Paul Vogel. I'm a tax attorney in St. Louis, Missouri, and adjunct tax faculty at the University of Missouri-Columbia School of Accountancy and School of Law. I am not here speaking on behalf of the university. I have to make that clear. Most people in the tax bar are in favor of this bill. I'm not speaking on behalf of the bar, but just my constituents for two reasons, and the senator said the first one. A lot of Missourians, for good and valid reasons, put assets in trust, and it's still for their use. And it was just a failure to reference a code section under the Missouri statute that taxes trusts. They use the same rules as the individual section uses, but it's under a different statute, and it wasn't cross-referenced. So that's what that does. The bigger portion I think that's important is the business-friendly portion of this. Missouri adopts the Internal Revenue Code as its code, as opposed to passing their own, and then Missouri makes certain additions and subtractions. Under the Internal Revenue Code, when a small business or a large business, let's say a farmer, for example, if they buy business assets, a combine, a tractor, something like that, and then they depreciate that asset for tax purposes over however long they use it, and then they later choose to go sell that asset to buy a new business asset. Normally that would be a capital gain, but under the Internal Revenue Code, specifically code sections 1245 and 1250 of the code, because there was business depreciation taken on that asset in prior years, the Internal Revenue Code recharacterizes that what would be capital gain as ordinary income at the federal level. And because Missouri is what we call a piggyback state, we adopt the federal code, Missouri also converts that gain on the sale of that business asset to ordinary income. Therefore, the capital gains bill that was passed does not cover those assets. So if a farmer, for example, buys a combine for $150,000, writes it off for federal purposes, its basis is zero, they later sell that tractor for $75,000 to buy a new one, that $75,000 that they collected for the sale is ordinary income, not capital gain. Therefore, ordinary income under the Missouri bill, which means the farmer would then have to pay tax on that income before they can take what's left and buy a new tractor. So all we're doing here is changing the Missouri law, since we already have precedent for certain additions and subtractions from the Internal Revenue Code. Missouri is expanding the definition of capital gain specifically to include business depreciable assets used in Missouri. So that's the purpose of the two sections of the bill. It is that short. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the operation of it.
Thank you for that testimony. That helped for me. It helped clear up and simplified it in a very straightforward manner. Do we have any questions, Senator Washington?
Hi, thank you for being here. It did not simplify for me. I want to ask you this. In the example you used, they were able to take depreciation losses until the value of the combine was zero, correct?
Correct.
And now you want the new purchase or the sale of it at the $75,000 to also be reclassified as capital gains. Am I understanding that correct?
You understand that correct?
And in Missouri, capital gains are not taxed, correct?
That is correct.
So instead of $150,000 depreciation credit, you're actually getting $225,000 of tax-free income because you're selling that and you're getting another $75,000 that you don't have to pay Missouri taxes on. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Why would we do that, bruh?
It's to incent business investment in Missouri. Because you can, that only
How
applies
much
if
business investment have we had since last August?
I don't know the answer to that one,
I
Senator.
want you to get that because we just eliminated capital gains and we lost we lost in my community, we lost two major corporations. We lost the Kansas City Chiefs, which are a corporation that contribute over $100 million in sales taxes to our economy, and we also lost Lockton Insurance, which also contributes $30 to $40 million in income taxes alone to our community, so to our state. So before I could be on with this, I'd have to know, how does this benefit Harris-Stowe University, which may go out of business because of the cuts we're taking? Or how does this benefit our disabled people and our people who need help where we're cutting that funding? Or how does it benefit, how does it help us gain back that $600 to $625 million that we lost just in 1 year as a result of eliminating capital gains? Look, I'm all for rich people getting rich, but not at the cost of poor people getting poorer. So who does this really benefit?
It benefits businesses that are in Missouri. So to your point, Senator.
How? Because they still it's still going to be ordinary income on the IRS on internal revenue, right?
It will be ordinary income at the federal level. That is correct.
So why can't it stay ordinary income here?
It certainly can. But then,
So I'd be okay if we did this and that same business gets zero tax credits for anything ever in the history of the company. Because you can't, we're double dipping with what you're saying. And then when they get a tax credit, they triple dipping. And poor folks don't get to do that. I know, I'm a poor folk.
yeah, in an attempt to answer your question, how does it benefit Missouri? If their overall effective combined federal and state tax rate is lower, it incents businesses to stay here versus moving to Kansas or somewhere else that doesn't have that.
Kansas got some higher tax rates,
right.
So that they went over there for higher taxes. So I just want you to know that.
I'm aware.
You understand that? So
Yeah.
that kind of defeats your argument
Well,
that
I
us having
misspoke.
lower.
I meant to say Tennessee. I'm sorry.
But Tennessee is now raised their sales tax up to about 13% or something in that area, correct? So poor folks are the ones that are hurting with this. And can you get me some numbers of how cutting out just the basic capital gains that we did last year has benefited us by having businesses move here because of that reason? I understand you're a tax attorney. All respect for tax attorneys. You probably a CPA too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
My sister's a CPA. I get it. She take her multi-million-dollar clients every year and take them down to zero. Hey, that's what tax laws are for. But this is going a step too far. We've already eliminated capital gains taxes. And now you're saying, okay, you already depreciated every dime you spent on this asset. And when you sell it, that's like the lottery. It's gravy. It's better than the lottery. It's like drug money. You don't even have to pay taxes on it because it's better than drug money because you're going to tell the government you did it and they still won't tax you. So I definitely cannot agree with this. And if that is a benefit, please get me some numbers that show that this has, what we've done in the last year has helped us, and also that it has helped employment. Our numbers of employees have gone up. Instead of Walmart laying off thousands of people who gets credit for everything. So I'd like to see how this is helpful to the everyday Missourian, not the millionaire business owner. I'm a business owner too, so trust me, I love it. But it's not good for my neighbors. It's not good for the people in my community. It's not good for my family in Saline County that are not farmers or don't have anything that they could write off. So I appreciate you coming. I think tax attorneys are some of the smartest people in the world. I think people should use tax attorneys before they use tax accountants. And you understand why. But this is egregious to helping rich folks, and I just think this is really bad policy. Thank you.
Any further questions? Senator Lewis.
Good morning.
Morning.
Have you seen the fiscal note on this?
Yeah, it's very vague. And so what I do not know. What I was able to glean from what I read was that the cost of this was included in the numbers for last year's fiscal note, but because they didn't realize there was a statute missing on the trust part. But the fiscal note that DOR put out just said impact greater than 250,000. I don't understand why they couldn't give us a better number than that, but that's the note they put out. I believe that's what it said.
Okay. Yeah, and my concern is the one they put out last year, the actual loss was 5 times more than the fiscal note. So could be safe to assume that this fiscal note should be multiplied times 5, which I find very concerning at a time where we are having to make cuts to the budget, cuts to like healthcare, to essential services. So just wanted to point out the fiscal note and correlate that last year was off by 5 times. So I'm going to assume this is times 5 again.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Senators.
Just a reminder, everyone here to testify, be sure to leave a witness form. Anyone else here to testify in favor?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, State Public Advocate. I submitted my form online. Did you receive it? Okay. Cool. I'm in favor and support of this SB 1575 on the caveat that we abolish and get rid of all tax credits. Tax credits are choking our state to unbelievable notions. We have billions and billions of dollars of tax credits. If you added up all the tax credits and gifts and tax abatements that every elected official in this building has proposed this legislative session, it would be in the billions. And we can't afford it because we need to cut $2 billion from our state budget. So this ask is an understandable ask. It was forgotten last year in the capital gains legislation. The fiscal note is a little bit sketchy. I'd like to get more drilled down numbers, but how I look at the fiscal note is $116 million this bill will cost taxpayers from fiscal year 2027 to fiscal year 2029. And that's on top of the $370 million fiscal note that was the capital gains tax elimination from last year. I believe the benefit of legacy and passing on assets to your loved ones and to people who are important in your life. But we need to abolish these tax credits, which made a lot of people overnight millionaires. I can give you a father-son example in Columbia for the housing tax credits for senior housing. They became instant millionaires overnight, but they forgot and lack responsibility and accountability for the apartment buildings and the way that they treat senior citizens when they get all this money from the state and from the federal government. As I said, we're going to have to cut $2 billion from our state budget, and I think the biggest way is to abolish tax credits. I support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone for informational purposes only? Senator Crawford, do you have any closing remarks?
Actually, just a couple things. Senator Washington, obviously, you know, farmers will get some benefit from this, and I know a lot of farmers that are far from rich. So while, yes, it may help some upper end, it may also help some other people too as well. And the other thing that I just wanted to point out is we don't necessarily depreciate. I mean, if we sell, let's say, for instance, we sell a tractor, we may not depreciate that whole thing. So we may not get the entire tax benefit from it, but you do have to Right, but if in the event, I mean, sometimes you know, for various reasons, you'll stretch things out further than that. So I guess my point is, just from my own personal experience, we don't always depreciate everything out, and it is kind of, you do kind of feel like you're getting gouged when you've gotten depreciation on one end, but then you've got to take it back in as income on the other end just because you've bought the tractor. So I think we're actually helping all kinds of people, especially the farmers and the small businesses that don't have a big number in those depreciable assets. And I completely, it's going to help all different types of people, I think. Anyway, I just wanted to make those 2 points, and I do appreciate the hearing today.
Thank you. This concludes the hearing for Senate Bill 1575. We're going to break for a moment, and I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. We are in executive session. I move that Senate Bill 1079 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Gregory's bill we heard last week. Senate Bill 1079 modifies provisions relating to the film tax credit program. I move that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 1079. Do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Brown,
Aye.
Gregory 21, Aye. Gregory 15. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Senator. Pass. Senator Lewis. Aye. Senator Schnelting. Aye. Senator Trent has left his vote with the chair and is voting yes. Washington. Yes. Senator Gregory. By your vote of 6-1, you have voted to do pass Senate Bill 1079.
I now move that Senate Bill 1425 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? This is Senator Gregory's bill we also heard last week. Senate Bill 1425 modifies provisions relating to a tax credit for new business facilities. I move that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 1425. Do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Brown.
Aye.
Gregory 21. Aye. Gregory 15. Aye. Lewis. Aye. Schnelting. Senator Trent left his vote with the chair, is voting aye. Washington. Aye. By your vote of 7-0, you have voted to do pass Senate Bill 1425.
I now move that Senate Bill 1620 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Gregory 15's bill we heard last week. Senate Bill 1520 modifies provisions relating to the calculation of sales tax for certain transactions. I move that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 1620. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Brown.
Aye.
Gregory 21. Aye. Gregory 15. Lewis. Schnelting. Senator Trent left his vote with the chairs, voting aye. Washington. By your vote of 6-1, you have voted to pass Senate Bill 1620.
I move that the committee take up Senate Joint Resolution 68. Do I have a second? I have a second. This is Senator Brattin's SJR that relates to the taxation of certain assets. Was heard earlier in the session. Senator Nicola presented a identical bill. So there's a Senate committee substitute that has been distributed that rolls both of those bills together, and I move that the committee adopt Senate substitute for Senate committee substitute for Senate Joint Resolution 68 and 96. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have adopted the Senate committee substitute for Senate Joint Resolution 68 and 96. I now move that the committee vote Senate committee substitute for Senate Joint Resolutions 68 and 98 do pass. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Brown.
Aye.
Gregory 21. Gregory 15. Lewis. Schnelting. Senator Trent. Senator Trent left his vote with the chairs, voting aye. Senator Washington. By your vote of 5-2, you have voted to do pass Senate committee substitute for Senate Joint Resolution 68 and 96.
Now make a motion we exit executive session. Do I have a second? Next bill we will be hearing today is Senate Bill 1082. Senator Berger, please begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Jamie Berger represented the 27th District. Thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 1082. Given rising prices and surging demand for food assistance, hunger relief organizations are under increased strain as they strive to support our communities. This legislation extends and strengthens Missouri's existing donated food tax credit, which currently encourages donations to food pantries, soup kitchens, and homeless shelters. The tax credit expires in 2026, meaning it risks expiration. This bill extends the credit to 2032, so it still has a sunset. The language also strengthens the credits by adding Missouri's food banks as qualifying entities, raising the cap from $1.75 million to $3.5 million to help these private organizations raise more money to address rising hunger in Missouri, ensuring taxpayers are not penalized if the Department of Revenue must prorate their credit because the cap is hit. As drafted, the language also increases the credit percentage to 70%, which Missouri has done for several other tax credits. Food banks use their scale and buying power to supply food to local pantries, churches, mobile pantries, shelters, senior programs, and more, allowing food banks to leverage these tax credits to increase donations, which will also help partner agencies across the state. After the bill was filed, we heard concerns that the tax credit needs to be subdivided so the existing recipients, food pantries, soup kitchens, and homeless shelters have one allocation and the newly added food banks have a separate allocation. This will protect the existing credit recipients while allowing Missouri's food banks to benefit. We're happy to work with the committee or committee chair to make changes to make it applicable and agreeable. And you know, during the government shutdown, the food banks really rose to the top, supporting our people that needed food, and I think this is a way to help that. The food banks in our area are very well ran, very well out there in the community, making sure people have the necessary food. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Senator Washington?
I just want to thank you for bringing this bill, Senator. Our food banks are crucial, and I partner with them at home myself to make sure that those who are less fortunate are able to receive food. So really appreciate that.
Thank you. You know, nothing concerns me more than kids having to go to bed hungry every night.
Any further questions? Seeing none, first witness that would like to testify in favor, please begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you so much for hearing this bill, and thank you to Senator Berger for his leadership. My name is Leanne Hahn, and I'm the Executive Director of Feeding Missouri. We represent the coalition of the 6 food banks in Missouri. We represent all 114 counties in the city of St. Louis, have the largest charitable response to hunger in the state, so we really appreciate the efforts on this bill. As Senator Berger, stated that there is a sustained historically high demand for food. In Missouri, 1 in 7 are food insecure, just meaning they don't know where their next meal is coming from, and 1 in 5 children are food insecure. And it's just, it's unacceptable in a state like ours with the ag resources and the resources we have for that to be the case. And so we're excited about this philanthropic tool being a mechanism to hopefully help affect some change in that. I wanted to share, we've been talking, some of the previous bills have been talking about fiscal notes, and I think when you think about the investment that this kind of tax credit would have, the food banks, for every $1, they can purchase about 4 meals. So it stretches even further maybe than your average dollar in other scenarios, and that's just due to the logistics and the buying power and the bulk quantities that food banks are distributing food in. I think last year we distributed as a network about 124 million pounds of food. So we're moving a lot of food. And then about 2/3 of that, 70% of that are healthy, nutritious foods to encourage, produce, vegetables, lean proteins, things like that. Before I let Katie chime in here, I just wanted to share a couple statistics from around the state. So in Southeast Missouri, this year the food bank has increased their food purchasing budget by 30% in order to try to make up some of the gaps of the dwindling resources they're seeing with donated food. Ozarks Food Harvest, approximately 25% of the food they're purchasing now compared to 10% 5 years ago. So that's also going up. St. Louis was the same. Over 20% of the food distributed is purchased compared to about 2% 5 years ago. So we're seeing a lot, again, increased demand and dwindling resources. And I'm going to hand it over to Katie to talk about specifically what they're seeing.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here with you today. My name is Katie Adkins. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri. Just for a little context, the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri covers 32 counties here in Missouri. It's around 18,000 square miles, so many rural communities. We have wonderful partners across that area, so 145 partner agencies. So those are going to look like pantries, soup kitchens, senior centers, domestic violence shelters, many organizations that are getting food into the hands of people who need it in very innovative ways. So I would love to just give you a quick overview of what a few of our numbers look like as far as food received. And I think it demonstrates that we are doing more with less, and the less that we are getting, we are also working a lot harder for. So from just this year, 2026, so from July to the end of February, we received 14.3 million pounds of food. That seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but pre-COVID, that number in fiscal year 19 looked like 19.1 million pounds of food. Post-COVID, it was still higher, 17.2 million pounds of food received. And as recently as last year, that number was still higher, 16.2 million pounds received. So we're seeing a year-over-year reduction in the amount of foods that we receive through donations. To add just a little bit of context, we run a retail rescue program where we partner with retailers across our service area to rescue foods from their shelves that may be heading for the landfill but still have good usable life. That is an amazing food that gets great nutrition to the people that we serve. Our neighbors are really grateful to be able to have that variety and those foods to encourage that Leanne mentioned. Last year we rescued about 5 million pounds of food from landfills, but I will note that that goes into that 14.3 million pounds that we received this year. So it's not just donations that are being sent our way, it's 5 million of those pounds are pounds that we are actively working very hard to acquire. So we are seeing less food come in, and at the same time, other expenses like transportation are continuing to go up. We run a very lean organization. 95% of the total operating expenses that we have go toward food distribution or food acquisition. So we are putting almost everything that we have into that food. And it is becoming challenging to serve neighbors who have especially extenuating circumstances, neighbors who may be older and on Social Security and recognizing that their budgets are stretched thin. It's hard to continue to serve at the rate that we want to be able to provide support to them. I will also note that the many of the things that we as a food bank are experiencing, higher food prices, higher transportation prices, are also affecting the neighbors that we serve. We very often hear that people are having a harder time getting through the month on their paycheck. A lot of the times I will hear, it's that last week of the month that's where I need the extra help from a food pantry. So we have amazing support from our community, but this particular effort would hopefully bring new donors into the fold. We've recognized that when donors engage with us and do receive tax credits, they often fall in love with the mission and become part of that giving community for the long term. And that would give us a lot more flexibility to be able to meet the moment and then continue to pivot and find more new innovative ways to get food in the door. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, guys.
Your form, I'll put it right here.
Just a reminder, everyone, to make sure you leave a witness form. Anyone else to testify in favor? Begin when ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Doug Cowan. I reside in Independence, Missouri. I professionally serve as the president and CEO of Community Services League, and I would like to also offer my thanks to the senator for his leadership around this important information, and want to thank my industry colleagues. I will try not to replicate any of the great information that they already shared. We are a smaller organization in Jackson County. I just wanted to share a little bit about what this might mean. We were an organization founded in 1916 in Independence by a young Bess Wallace, who would later become First Lady Bess Truman, part of a women's Bible study group that saw needs in our community. And here we are 110 years later, still neighbors helping neighbors. We operate today 15 locations, and 14 of those are in Jackson County and 1 in Clay County. We have about 100 people that work for us professionally. 250 people in Jackson County volunteer with us on an ongoing basis, and 1,000 or more will help at least one time a year. So it is truly a community organization. Today we offer food pantry assistance in Independence, Buckner, Grand Valley, Blue Springs, Oak Grove, and Kansas City. We have a sack lunch program in Independence. We have hot meal programs in both Kansas City and in Independence. In total, last year, our food operation put about 750,000 pounds of food out into the community. And our regional food bank is Harvesters, and we have a designation of one of their core 4 agencies, meaning we're one of the 4 largest food providers for Harvesters between Manhattan, Kansas, and Columbia, Missouri. About 15,000 Jackson County and Clay County families benefit from these services, so about 60,000 people. One of my favorite programs is our neighborhood dinner at Stone Church Community of Christ in Independence. We have 136 people on average that come every Wednesday night for a hot meal program. We greet them, we seat them, we serve them restaurant style. One of my favorite stories about that is that we have an older gentleman who walks there. He celebrates his birthday with us every year. He's 94 years old now, and he relies on that hot meal program. In fact, many of our neighbors that show up to hot meal programs, they bring Tupperware with them in the hopes that maybe there's extra and they can stretch it through the week. I live on Main Street, just south of the historic Independence Square. There's a church right by me that operates a Wednesday or a Tuesday drive-through food pantry, and I came down Main Street yesterday. Of course, this is a regular occurrence, but I'm sure this won't surprise you that I looked at every single car, and most of the folks that were in the driver's seat had white hair that looks like my beard. Hunger affects everybody, as my colleagues will testify, but especially hits seniors who may be raising multi-generations in their household, but are very much stretched on their limited incomes. But our food programs, as I've described, are massive and they require a ton of support. We have, in addition to a large amount of food, we have 21 refrigerators and freezers across our network, box trucks, vans, and trailers that move all these things around, and the Food Pantry Tax Credit Program, which has been in existence for, I believe, close to 15 to 20 years, helps us make all this possible. And we're so grateful, like I said, for the Senator's bill that would extend it. But critically, two pieces I want to call out is the increasing of the percentage from 50% to 70%. We have a lot of donors that contact us that say, you know, I could go over to the maternity home or the domestic violence shelter in Independence, which are, don't get me wrong, super great organizations, but they offer 70% tax credits, and sometimes we lose out on critical donations because of that disproportionate amount. Along with increasing the statewide cap, as the Senator referenced, is a critical thing because we do, come June, we have a lot of donors that will call us and say, well, I submitted my food pantry tax credit form for this amount, but it got watered down, and that's because, as the Senator said, we hit the statewide cap. So one of the critical things about our food pantries is that when people come in, it's not usually just for food. They then learn that organizations like CSL, we offer workforce development programs, financial programs, housing programs, so we get them in through frontline emergency services, and then we can help them advance upwardly in our economic programs. Every social service that's offered here in Missouri is important, but as the Senator said, no child or family can move ahead if they are hungry. This is a program that benefits every Missourian, every Missouri county, every Missouri city. There's a trickle to benefit to all corners of the state, and we urge the passing of Senate Bill 1082, and again, thank the Senator for his leadership.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor. Sorry, sir. Could you repeat your name one more time?
Yeah. My name is Doug Cowan, C-O-W-A-N, and I reside in Independence, Missouri.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tyler Travers, registered lobbyist here this morning on behalf of Canby's Markets in Jackson County, Missouri. Canby's Markets is a food bank that they're able to save about 2 million pounds of food out of the landfill last year. Through our innovative model, we work with wholesalers to collect pallets that they're going to discard, and then largely through volunteer work, we're able to save millions of pounds of food a year, and this is 100% healthy fruits, vegetables, and proteins. Because that aligns really well with the governor's priorities of healthy foods, we were honored to host him to tour our facility this past fall along with Senator Washington. We're very grateful for Senator Berger for bringing this forward, and we're fully supportive.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none. Anyone else in favor? Seeing none. Anyone here to testify in opposition?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Arne C. A.C. Dinoff, State Public Advocate. I submitted my testimony electronically online. Hopefully you received it. Yesterday, I testified before the House Ways and Means Committee on House Bills 2461, 2457, 1782, which is similar, but there's some differences to Senate Bill 1082. And I testified against it because giving of charity has to come from within one's being, one's heart. If someone can afford it and has extra, it's their obligation to take care of thy neighbor. And I believe strongly in that. The Boy Scouts do a collection every November. Churches in my neighborhood do have food pantries, do food drives, ask the community, ask church members to donate what they can afford or extra food. It's not upon the government to give a handout of a tax credit. You can't do good on one arm, but yet have your handout getting something in return of a benefit when you're supposed to be doing the right thing without a reward. It's not about reward in the world. It's about taking care of people. And I think this can clearly be done without a tax credit. Between the House bills and the Senate bill, the House bill yesterday with Representative Amato is 50% of the tax credit, and that tax credit over the next 3 fiscal years, from fiscal year 27 to 29, the fiscal note is $10.5 million. Senator Berger's bill moves that benchmark from 50% to 70% tax credit, and the fiscal note is $8,989,000. So in between the difference of the two bills, it's about $1.5 million. And I hate to say it again, we are facing a $2 billion shortage in our annual budgets. We have to cut $1 billion in fiscal year 27 and $1 billion in fiscal year 28. If any of you read the memo that was given by the state auditor, there was clear caution, clear red flags that we're doing things wrong in Missouri and we're going down the wrong path. It's going to affect our Moody's rating. It's going to affect our credit rating, our bond rating. We're going to have to pay more interest rates when we build roads with MoDOT, when we have to borrow money to do capital assets and to operate state government. We need to make some hard decisions. If we're going to do this tax credit, we need to cut other places to make up for this. As I said before in my previous testimony with the previous bill, tax credits are getting out of control in Missouri. We are the number 1 or number 2 tax credit corporate giveaway welfare state in the entire country, and maybe even the world for that matter. And that needs to come to a halt because I don't see the return on investment and end results. For those reasons, I have to support this tax giveaway. It should be coming from the heart of these not-for-profit organizations or food banks or whoever has extra food from these manufacturers. You know what? They get a lot of tax deductions that they can write off at the federal and state level. For those reasons, I do not support SB1082. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Seeing none. Anyone else here to testify in opposition? Anyone here for informational purposes only? Senator, do you have any closing remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I do not.
That concludes the hearing for Senate Bill 1082. Last but not least, we have Senate Bill 1608. Senator Washington, begin whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you for having me and staying to hear my bill. I will get the others. Today I'm here to present Senate Bill 1608. It's a bill to help foster safer communities throughout the state and bridge the divide between our youth and law enforcement through what we call the Youth Police Initiative. You know, when I was a little kid, you had Officer Friendly that would come to your elementary school, and people really wanted to be officers, and they were really a vibrant part of our community and helped keep public safety high. So there's been a big divide between our law enforcement officers and our youth, especially in our urban communities, defined by the stereotypes, apprehension for each other. And so we know that when that trust erodes, that public safety is what suffers. We also know that our at-risk youth, if they have positive informal interactions with our officers, they're less likely to enter the justice system. So this is a fiscally responsible, community-driven solution, and it's been supported by this administration and the governor as well. It will incentivize the private sector to invest directly in proven youth police initiatives, and that they'll do that by offering 100% tax credit for the contributions to the nonprofits running these programs. That tax credit would cap at $500,000 annually. We decided in this legislature in 2025 to contribute $750,000 to this very initiative, and that has helped. We have one of the best majors in the state will testify to the positive impact of that $750,000 in those programs. We know that kids that are incarcerated at juveniles are about 40% less likely to graduate from high school. I know that personally from my own personal experiences. I am the only one that was incarcerated in a facility the summer of my 8th grade year who actually graduated from high school. 35% more likely to be in an adult correctional facility. That hurts the kid, the family, and society in general because we're paying for them to be incarcerated instead of making sure that they are educated, get jobs, and contribute to society. So we're asking that a tax credit is 100% to eligible nonprofits. It's only for 501c3 organizations who actually operate youth police initiatives. The programs have to engage at-risk youth and police activities. And like I said, there's a statewide cap of $500,000, and we're asking for a sunset of 2032. We want Department of Public Safety to maintain and create a list of those eligible entities so that we can keep watch over what's going on. In closing, we always have community policing, but it has to be built on trust. Our trust has been eroded throughout the entire state, throughout the nation with respect to our public safety police officers. So we want to create the next generation of building that trust back, and we do that by telling our youth and our officers we believe that they can lead together. And with that, I'll take any questions.
You did such a great job, Senator. I have no questions.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
First up, they would like to testify in favor. Please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman, Senators. My name is Mary Preston. I am with the North American Family Institute. I am the Director of Operations for the Youth and Police Initiative. Senator Washington, thank you for your past support and your current support. We do appreciate it. The Youth and Police Initiative is a nationally recognized, researched, informed program that brings law enforcement and youth together in a very structured curriculum over 5 days. It's 2.5 hours a day for 5 days. The first 3 days, the youth are with themselves building their own community. On the 4th and the 5th days, law officers come in. In addition, on the first 3 days, it's a team building. It's normative community, it's leadership. They talk about their choices with their families, with their friends, schools, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what may or may not, how their actions have affected their choices. Again, it is a 5-day intensive program. We started the program in 2017 in Kansas City through a personal donor. During that, and then we reintroduced it in 2024. In 2018, we conducted 4 weeks of program. We graduated 56 youth. We had 27 Kansas City police officers participate. We certified 5 trainers, 3 from Kansas City Police Department and 2 from the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Kansas City. In 2024, we expanded the program. We conducted 16 weeks of this program within Kansas City. We certified 5 police officers, 2 from Circuit Court of Jackson County Family Court, and then 4 youth development. During that period, we graduated 197 youth. We engaged in an additional 24 law enforcement officers. To date, we facilitated 20 weeks. We have impacted 253 youth, 51 police officers, and and trained certified trainers of 15. Moving forward, our goal is in 2026-27 to conduct 8 weeks of training, impacting 20 youth, 32 officers, and certifying 6 additional trainers to carry on the program through this city. The effectiveness of this innovative training experience not only provides tools and conflict resolution strategies to police and youth, but improves overall police and community relations. Youth interacting with police officers for YPI will develop new knowledge, attitude, beliefs to strengthen protective factors against violence and conflict, humanizing the challenges each face.
Thank you very much for that testimony.
Sure.
Next up, they would like to speak in favor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and the committee. My name is State Representative Tiffany Price of District 26. However, today I'm here as a parent whose child went through the YPI program before I was elected. Can you hear me?
So this came up once in a hearing last year. We're not permitted to allow members of the other chamber testify as witnesses at the committee hearings.
Okay.
So I apologize. We allowed that last year and then found out after the fact
Okay.
that that's not permitted. Happy to have a conversation with you though offline,
Oh,
and would very much value your perspective. Next up in favor.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Madam. Good morning, sir. My name is Major Kari Thompson. I'm a division commander with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, and I was the local Kansas City facilitator of the Youth and Police Initiative program through the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department in 2025. Miss Mary absolutely is limiting those numbers of what we're hoping for 2026. We are hoping for double that, a double of 20. We're hoping for at least 60 kids that can go through this program. Madam and gentlemen, programs such as this, where there are non-enforcement related interactions with youth, is crime prevention. I stand on that, I've witnessed it, and I believe it. This is crime prevention. Having interactions with our kids, whether I'm in uniform or out, and I am talking to them as their auntie or as a member of our community, it builds something within them. It shows them that I'm a person, I'm a human, and not a robot. These officers, if I might add, are also changed. We're not just changing kids, but we're changing the mindsets of officers. Officers that are dealing with empathy fatigue, gentlemen and lady, dealing with call after call of violence and showing our citizens not at their best. These men and women, these law enforcement professionals are able to relax, drop their shoulders down a little bit, and get to know these youth as youth, not as an offender or a particular person that they're looking for a crime. So this helps our community holistically. This is a multi-layered approach. Our children need us in multiple layers, not just their parents, not just their educators, but they need us, police, and other members of our community to say, you know what, come here, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you with your decision making. I'm going to help you with your emotional regulation, and I'm going to help you learn how to be a civic engaged member of our community. And that's what this does. We are with these kids for 5 days. For those first 3 days, many of the officers that are with me, we are now certified trainers. So we're in plain clothes. So these kids don't know that we're police officers. As we talk about interactions with police, we allow them to be themselves. We allow them to be very candid and very open. And guess what? We listen more than we talk. So I implore you, please continue this program. The very safety of our communities in urban and non-urban areas is at stake right now. So I implore you to please pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. And excellent testimony, by the way. I really appreciate how you kind of gave both perspectives.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for your service and everything that you do for the community.
Yes.
Anyone else that would like to testify in favor?
Thank you, Miss. Hello, how y'all doing? My name is Paul Vega. I'm a resident of Kansas City, and I couldn't agree more with our KCPD over here. Anything that helps create community-police relations is great, and the youth initiative sounds like a great idea to bring more police officers on board because, as we all know, most police departments are understaffed, and they need to be fully staffed. So I fully support this.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that would like to testify in favor? Anyone here to testify in opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, State Public Advocate. I submitted my testimony online electronically. I heard all the testimony, and I applaud them. They do a great job in caring about the youth, not having or preventing crime. Those are all things that local police departments all across our state do in our various villages, cities, and counties. This program does a lot of great deeds, but it's a local issue. It's not a statewide issue. I know police departments on the eastern side, St. Louis City has a similar program. They do it with local funds and donations from local businesses. So does the North County Cooperative that is, I believe, approximately 12 municipalities in North St. Louis County that gets out and meets with the youth and has youth programming. And I know for a fact that St. Louis County also has a similar program that they do with local funds and local general revenues through that county. Some of these groups need to fundraise rather than have the state pay for tax credits. As you all know, I'm opposed to tax credits. Our tax credits, we're being the #1 state across the country known for tax credits and corporate giveaways. It's choking us budget-wise, and it's fiscally irresponsible. The fiscal note states over the next 3 fiscal years, from fiscal year 27 to 29, this youth police initiatives, which police departments all throughout Missouri do on their own dime and their own accord, is going to cost taxpayers $2,039,120 in revenue. And so for those reasons, I cannot support this initiative. I support them on my own. I think they're doing a noble job, a great job working with youth, but you can't rely on the state government to bail you out and to pay for all your things. They're only getting to 60 youth. What about all the thousands upon thousands of youth in Kansas City that are in violent neighborhoods, that are in crime-ridden areas, that the Kansas City Police Department is asking the state to bail them out for more funding? We need to get to the crux of crime and rid crime from all neighborhoods throughout our state. For those reasons, I cannot support this tax credit, and I do not support SB 1608. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just get your thoughts. Just curious if, and I don't know what the actual incarceration rate is, but if it were shown in the instance, and I get your point about, I think that we, to an effect, overuse tax credits generally. If it resulted in less incarcerations down the road, and it had actual return on investment, would that change your perspective on this particular tax credit?
Well, we have a turning point in terms of juvenile justice in our state, and as you all know, I'm a big proponent of Senate Bill 888 by Senator Shore. We need truth in sentencing bills. We need juveniles who are held accountable and responsible. I could tell you in O'Fallon, we had an incident a year ago this summer which brought it to my attention about juveniles not being held accountable or responsible. But there was a juvenile trying to break into a residence. The residence was at home, interrupted them. The police caught up to the juvenile. They were arrested. They were taken down to the juvenile officials, and within an hour and a half, they were back at home. And guess what? At 4 o'clock, this individual was trying to kick in another resident's door and was held at gunpoint until the O'Fallon police could arrive on scene to take him into custody once again. In my opinion, the juvenile justice system needs a total overhaul. Our justice system, I feel, is failing not only the children, but it's failing Missourians. And it has to do with accountability, it has to do with parenting, it has to do with the whole scheme of events. We have to reinvent our state government in the way that we deliver services and programs that work.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have anyone else that would like to testify in opposition? Anyone for informational purposes only? Senator, do you have any closing remarks?
I do, just a little. One, I want to clarify that the City of Kansas City Police Department has not come to the state and asked for any money. That was, in fact, St. Louis City Police Department. Secondly, we have proven in Jackson County that these programs work. we only have 15 children incarcerated in our juvenile detention center. In St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and St. Charles County, their juvenile detention centers are full. In fact, Senate Bill 888, which I worked extensively on, arose because of youth in St. Charles County, not Jackson County. We have proven that programs like that, our youth police initiatives, work. They keep our children safe. They keep them going to school. There are requirements, just like any other program, for the youth to stay in this. While 60 doesn't seem like a lot, it is a start, and it is a bigger start than what is happening throughout the rest of the state. So I implore you, as Major Thompson said, to pass this bill, move it forward, so that we can work on additional public safety throughout our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. This concludes the hearing for Senate Bill 1608. I now make, with no further business coming before the committee, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? 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 I heard a second somewhere. We are adjourned.